Hello, Greater Toronto Area educators. Welcome. Welcome to a new school year. Another year and another beginning with so much gardening possibilities. Hold on. You're not actually thinking that gardening season has passed and we should all go inside the classrooms and hide and wait for winter to come, are you? Whoa, no, absolutely not. What about all the food that we planted last spring before we left for summer? What about all the preparations that we need to do for next spring before it gets freezing cold on us? What about all those wonderful things that we can teach and learn with the kids about fall and winter and nature in fall and winter? What about all the food we still can seed to harvest before spring and the food we can only plant in fall before it gets freezing cold to harvest next spring? Trust me, it's way too early to give up to winter. What winter? Fall is not even officially here yet. I'm Leila Mireskandari, your edible gardening teacher, and I'm going to tell you all about what I do in my fall edible gardening program in 3 short but packed with information videos so that you can do it in your own classrooms. In this video, we are going to talk about harvesting. Fall is harvesting season. That's why Thanksgiving is in fall. Some of you might have been around or had community around during summertime who attended the garden and maybe even planted some veggies. Depending on what they planted and when, it might be time to take the kids out there and harvest the veggies. Some of you might have planted a garden last spring, you left for summer, and now you're back to a whole garden to harvest. Well, only if you found somebody to water for you during summer. It's time to take the kids out there to harvest the food and maybe some seeds too. Now, when it comes to seeds, another way other than harvesting is an easier way, and that is just leaving them on the plant so that they can self-seed next spring. Things like if you planted them arugulas, radish, lettuce, coriander, peas, parsley, dill, basil, spinach, those are things that could be in seed at the moment. You could make creative signs with the kids, mark the area that you're leaving the seeds to self-seed so that next spring you know where they are so that you don't accidentally cultivate those areas. Just leave them on the plant and they will reseed and come up on their own next spring. Lettuce, coriander, and marigold perform very well in this manner. Oh, I had so many volunteer marigold plants in my garden this year, I just didn't know what to do with them. Think about it. Think about all the connections that you can make to the curriculum and all the opportunities of learning that is attached to this concept. The kids will do nothing next spring and they will have a bunch of vegetables coming up on their own. It's a wonderful thing to try. Now, some of you might not like this idea of leaving the garden to self-seed. You might think it's messy, and that's totally fine. But don't let the seeds to disappear on you. So make sure that you harvest them and you save them for your next spring. You can make little pretty envelopes with the kids, paper envelopes. Write the name of the vegetable on it, and they can go creative and draw the vegetables, pictures of the vegetable and all of that. Take them to the garden, harvest the seeds, and save them in the envelopes for next spring. We will head to the garden and I will show you some veggies and herbs that are producing seed at the moment, and I will tell you when is a good time to harvest seeds and when you still have to leave it because they're not ready to harvest. Now, some of you might not have a garden yet, but you do want to start one this year. Trust me, if you wait until spring, you will not have enough time for planning and preparing. This is the time to start planning and preparing, no matter how small your project is. Now, in my next video, I'm going to tell you all about that. Okay, now back to harvesting. Let's head to the garden so that I can show you some of the herbs and veggies that are producing seeds right now at the moment. Now, this is a dill plant. As you can see, it's right now in seed. This is the actual plant, and then it had bolted up, way up here into all these flower heads, and all the flowers have lost their petals, and these little green things that you can see right now, these are the ones that will turn into seeds eventually. So if you look over here, some of these have changed color, but they're not completely dried and brown yet. Some of them still have the greenish color into them. In order to know if they're ready to be harvested or not, what you need to do is to take the seeds like this and rub your finger very gently on them. If the plant lets go of the seeds, that's when they're ready. But if not, they're not ready yet. So let's see. Let's try these. Some of these certainly look like they're ready to be harvested. You see, they come off easily. If they do come off easily, that means the plant is done with them. It had already worked on them. If not, just leave them and harvest them later. Now, what I have over here is another vegetable. Can you guess what vegetable this is? It has changed so much that is almost unrecognizable. This is actually a lettuce. It has changed, and it has bolted all the way up here into all these flower heads. The flowers, which were yellow, as you can see, there's some remaining, they all lose their petals and they turn into these seed pods. But these seed pods, this one is not ready to be harvested yet because it's green. It has to develop these fluff. As you can see on these, this one is ready to be harvested. And then every one of these seeds will have what I call, when I'm teaching the kids, wings. You see all these wings that the seeds have? That means the plant is ready to let go of these seeds. That means these seeds are ready to be harvested. Now, another plant I want to show you is radish. You see all of this radish? If you go down here, you actually will see the radish down there. I did not harvest them because I wanted seeds. Can you see the radish? Now, they have bolted way up here into these flower heads, which are very beautiful flowers, white flowers. Because I don't want to buy new radish seeds next spring, I can use these ones if they develop well. And you see, these flowers are so beautiful, and they all turn into these seed pods. Now, this seed pod is still green and not ready to harvest. It has to completely dry, and when it dries, it turns brown, and it will actually open up, crack and open, and let go of all of these seeds. You see, when I do this with my finger, it's still not ready, or it would have let go of the pod, and you would see actually the seeds. Now let's look at some arugula. You see, I love arugula because the greens are very nice spice that I add to my salads. If you let the arugula to go to flowers, just like I did, it will give you seeds. You see the seed pods right here? So arugula is one of those plants that is very short maturing. You can actually plant it so many times during spring and summer and even fall. And if you let these flowers to develop, you will get seed pods. But if you don't, you can just keep cutting them and the plant will give you leaves. You see the seed pods? They're still green and not ready to be harvested. They will turn brown and dry up completely. Now, the next one I'm showing you here is mustard green. So, as you can see, these very beautiful yellow flowers that my mustard greens have developed. And these are actually the seed pods. They look like stems because they're very tiny and narrow, but they're actually seed pods. I have some more down here. Let me show you. This is the actual leaf, and these are the seed pods, which have developed a little bit bigger, as you can see. Again, this is the flower. And these seed pods are still green and not ready. They are ready when they completely dry up, and when you touch them with your fingers, the plant will let go of them easily. Okay, I hope you enjoyed watching the herbs and veggies that are producing seed at the moment. And I hope you learned when is a good time to harvest the seeds and when is not a good time to harvest the seeds, and you still have to wait. This is a very good lesson for the kids. It will actually teach them that if they work with nature and harvest responsibly, nature will give them a whole bunch of seeds completely for free for their next time. Now, if you watched my spring video series, you might remember that I told you that in spring, before you left for summer, you could have started seeds indoors and transplanted outdoors, or directly sow outdoors plants such as faba beans, beets, broccoli, borage, Brussels sprouts, cabbages, carrots, cantaloupes, cauliflowers, melons, nasturtiums, onions, oregano, parsley, things like potatoes, tomatoes, zucchini, pumpkins, sage, squash, sunflowers, sweet potatoes, Swiss chard, and a lot more in spring. All that had to be done during summer was watering and watching for pests. Now, pests, it's fine, they come and go, but watering is the most important part in summer. And there's always somebody in the community that is excited and willing and sticking around during summertime to help you once or twice a week with watering. You just have to find them. Now you're back to all this food, and all this food that I just mentioned, those are the ones that would be ready to harvest as food. Now, if you remember in my spring videos, I told you that if you're not around during summer to do any gardening with the kids, I did not suggest quick maturing plants such as the lettuce, radish, or spinach unless you planted them early in the spring and you got to harvest them before you left for summer. Arugula and spinach, for example, they really like it cool, lettuce too. So as soon as the nighttime temperatures goes about 10 degrees, they bolt into flowers, they give you seeds, and they're done. So if you're not around during summertime, obviously you're not there to harvest them as food. But even in that case, although these veggies have passed their harvest time as vegetables long ago, you can still harvest seeds off of them. And those are actually the veggies that, because of their short maturing properties, you can plant now and harvest before winter comes. In my third video, I'm going to tell you all about what you can plant in fall with the kids. Now, in my next video, which you will receive very shortly, I will tell you all about how to and what to do to plan and prepare for your spring garden. I hope you liked this video and found it informational and useful. Please scroll down and tell me your questions. Leave me a comment, and I will eagerly read them and respond to them. Until next time, cheers and peace.